Tonight, we journey to the quiet shores of the Dead Sea, a place of stillness and mystery. Imagine, if you will, the sun dipping below the horizon, casting long shadows across the ancient landscape. The air, thick with the scent of salt and desert earth, hangs heavy and warm. This is where our story begins, whispered on fragile parchment, a story carried on the wind for millennia, the story of the Dead Sea Scrolls. Picture yourself there, on the edge of that shimmering, almost unreal lake. The water, so dense with salt that you could easily float upon its surface, reflects the fading light like a mirror to the heavens. For centuries, this place, this in-between land, held a secret tucked away in caves, hidden amongst the rocks and shadows, guarded by the silence of the desert. These weren't just any scrolls, mind you. These were texts, ancient writings, the echoes of voices long silenced. They were found, eventually, by accident, almost as if the desert itself chose to reveal its hidden treasures. Imagine the shepherd, a Bedouin perhaps, seeking shelter from a sudden storm, stumbling upon the opening of a cave, a dark maw in the cliff face. He peered inside, his heart likely pounding a little with a mixture of fear and curiosity. Inside, he found jars, earthenware vessels, brittle and aged, containing something extraordinary. Scrolls of leather and papyrus, rolled tightly, like secrets held close. These weren't just any writings, oh no. These were fragments of history, pieces of a puzzle long lost to time. Some were copies of the Hebrew Bible, the very books we know and read today, older than any versions we had previously seen, offering a glimpse into how these sacred texts evolved over centuries. Others were commentaries, explanations, interpretations, the thoughts and beliefs of people who lived centuries ago, struggling with the same questions of faith, meaning, and purpose as we do today. Each scroll holds a universe of stories within its faded script. Imagine the scribes who painstakingly copied these texts, perhaps by the light of flickering lamps, their fingers tracing ancient words, carefully preserving the knowledge for generations to come. Picture their lives, their hopes, their fears. They are long gone, yet their work, their legacy, lives on within those fragile scrolls. We don't know their names, but their efforts, their dedication, speak to us across the vast expanse of time. Their story is woven into the very fabric of these ancient texts, a testament to human resilience, faith, and the enduring power of the written word. These scrolls are more than just documents. They are windows into a world long past, inviting us to peer through and contemplate the enduring human experience. The desert kept its secrets well, but time and a little curiosity eventually revealed them. And so the story of the Dead Sea Scrolls unfolds, a whisper from the past, a gentle murmur carried on the wind from the shores of that ancient lake, a lullaby of history, soothing you into a peaceful slumber. Let those ancient words lull you into a tranquil night, carrying you on a timeless journey to the realm of dreams. The sun dipped low, casting long shadows across the rolling hills of ancient Greece. A young shepherd boy, Aris, was guiding his flock, the bleating of his sheep a soft counterpoint to the chirping of crickets. He was tired, the day's heat clinging to him like a second skin. He sought a place to rest, his eyes scanning the familiar landscape for a sheltered spot. That's when he saw it, a slight irregularity in the hillside, almost hidden by overgrown bushes. It wasn't a rock formation he recognized. Curiosity, a familiar companion to young Aris, tugged at him. He pushed aside the thorny branches, revealing a dark opening, a mouth in the earth that seemed to whisper secrets. Hesitantly, he ventured inside. The air grew cooler, a welcome change from the summer's oppressive warmth. His eyes, slowly adjusting to the dim light, began to make out shapes within the cave. It was larger than he'd first imagined, opening into a small chamber. And there, against the far wall, sat rows upon rows of clay jars, their surfaces dusted with the fine patina of ages. Aris approached cautiously, his heart beating a little faster. He reached out, his fingers brushing against the cool, smooth clay of a jar. He gently lifted the lid, revealing not the expected dust and decay, but neatly rolled scrolls, carefully tied with faded ribbons. The parchment, though aged, seemed surprisingly well preserved. He pulled one out, its edges brittle. He carefully unrolled it, his breath catching in his throat. The script was unfamiliar, an elegant swirl of lines he couldn't decipher. Yet it seemed to speak of stories untold, of lives lived and lost. He explored further, finding more jars, each containing similar scrolls. Some jars held small, intricately carved figurines, miniature statues of people and animals, their details astonishingly preserved. Others contained pieces of jewelry, their stones dulled by time, but still retaining a glimmer of their former splendor. Each object whispered tales of a civilization long forgotten, a people who had lived and thrived in this very land, leaving behind echoes of their existence in these hidden chambers. Aris spent the rest of the afternoon carefully examining his discovery, the setting sun painting the cave entrance in shades of orange and purple. He felt a profound sense of awe, a quiet reverence for the secrets he had unearthed. He knew instinctively that this was something extraordinary, a treasure not of gold and jewels, but of knowledge and history. He carefully replaced the lids on the jars, promising himself he would return the next day, and he would share what he found. The bleating of his sheep, now closer, brought him back to the present. He emerged from the cave, the weight of his discovery settling gently within him, a secret held close to his heart under the watchful gaze of the darkening sky. The journey home was filled with the gentle sounds of the night and the quiet excitement of what was to come. He knew his life, and perhaps the world's understanding of the past, would never be quite the same. Imagine, if you will, a time long before the birth of Christ. Picture sun-baked hills, the scent of olive trees heavy in the air, and the quiet murmur of ancient cities. We're traveling back, not in a time machine, but through the whispers of carbon dating, to a world where these scrolls were written. They're fragile now, of course, the papyrus brittle with age, the ink faded, but within those faded lines lies a story spanning centuries. Carbon dating, a kind of scientific clock, has told us their secret. It measures the slow, steady decay of carbon atoms, a natural process occurring in all living things. By analyzing the remaining carbon in the scroll's materials, the papyrus itself, the linen bindings perhaps, scientists can estimate how long ago the plants used to make them were alive. And the results speak of a time remarkably far in the past, several centuries before the Common Era. This isn't just a guess. It's a measured, careful estimate based on the unchanging laws of physics. Think of the hands that first touched this papyrus, shaping it, smoothing it for the scribe's careful strokes. They probably weren't kings or queens, not necessarily, but ordinary people whose daily lives shaped the history we're now able to glimpse. A farmer, perhaps, recording the harvest, the weather, the changing seasons. A merchant jotting down trade deals, prices, journeys across the dusty landscape. Or a scholar, painstakingly copying ancient texts, preserving knowledge for generations to come. These scrolls, whispering their secrets across the millennia, offer a fascinating perspective. They paint a picture of daily life, not the grand narratives of empires and battles, but the intimate details that make up the fabric of a civilization. They bridge the gap between what we read in biblical texts and what archaeological evidence reveals about that time. They are not just historical documents. They are windows into lives lived, hopes held, fears felt. The scribes who penned these words, often anonymously, are as real as you and I, even though separated from us by an immeasurable span of years. Picture a scribe, perhaps sitting beneath a flickering oil lamp, the parchment warm beneath his fingertips. The rhythmic scratch of his reed pen against the papyrus is a calming sound, a quiet counterpoint to the crickets chirping outside. He's not writing for fame. He's preserving a story, a record, a prayer, perhaps a poem. His work is a quiet act of devotion, a legacy that would quietly endure for centuries, awaiting the light of modern science to reveal its secrets. The passage of time, the slow creep of the centuries, is almost palpable when you hold these ancient fragments in your mind's eye. They are tangible links to a past so distant, yet strangely near, whispering their stories to us across the silent ages. Stories we now have the privilege of listening to. A quiet conversation across the vast chasm of time. Let these quiet whispers lull you into a peaceful slumber. Imagine, if you will, the bustling marketplace of ancient Alexandria. The sun, a warm honey gold, dips below the horizon, casting long shadows across the cobblestone streets. The air, thick with the scent of spices and sea salt, carries the murmur of 1,000 voices, a symphony of human interaction. And within this vibrant cacophony, you hear the echoes of a multilingual world. A merchant, his face etched with the wisdom of years spent navigating the trade routes of the Mediterranean, calls out in Hebrew, a language as ancient as the hills themselves. His words, rich with the cadence of a history stretching back millennia, offer the price of fine silks, woven with threads of stories and journeys. Nearby, a scholar, his brow furrowed in concentration, debates the finer points of philosophy in flawless Aramaic, the language of scribes and sages, its consonants crisp and clear, like the clinking of coins. The rhythm of his words, flowing like a river, carries the weight of ages, of empires risen and fallen, of wisdom passed down through generations. A little further down, a group of fishermen haggle over the day's catch, their voices a mixture of Greek dialects, each carrying its own unique melody and inflection. The sounds, rough and warm, are infused with the scent of the sea, the tang of salt spray still clinging to their rough hands and weathered clothing. They speak of the unpredictable nature of the waves, the bounty of the ocean, and the shared struggles and triumphs of their life at sea. Their words, grounded in the daily rhythms of their work, hold a sense of simple honesty and resilience. As the sun finally slips beyond the horizon, painting the sky in hues of deep purple and fiery orange, the marketplace begins to quiet. But the languages linger, weaving themselves into the very fabric of the evening. You might hear a child's soft babble, a mixture of Hebrew and Greek, reflecting the melting pot of cultures that made Alexandria a center of learning and innovation. The words, still forming, are filled with the innocence of childhood, the promise of a future where languages intertwine, fostering understanding and bridging divides. A priest, his robes the color of twilight, recites a prayer in Aramaic, the ancient words carrying weight and reverence. His voice, a low hum, carries a sense of peace, of connection to something larger than oneself. The vowels, soft and drawn out, blend seamlessly with the night, creating a feeling of calm and tranquility. He prays for the safety of the city, for prosperity, for the well-being of all its inhabitants, regardless of their tongue. These languages, Hebrew, Aramaic, and Greek, weren't merely tools of communication. They were vessels carrying the cultural heritage of entire civilizations. They were the threads that connected individuals, fostering trade, scholarship, and a sense of shared humanity, creating a vibrant tapestry of sound and meaning. Even in their whispers, in their fading echoes, they resonate with the vitality of a diverse and interconnected world. As you drift off to sleep, let the gentle sounds of these languages wash over you, a reminder of the rich history and the enduring power of human connection. Let the murmurs of the marketplace fade into the gentle rhythm of your breathing, until sleep finds you, cradled in the embrace of these ancient tongues. Imagine, if you will, a hushed library, filled not with the familiar scent of aging paper, but the earthy aroma of sun-baked clay. Dust motes dance in the faint light, filtering through a cracked window, illuminating fragments of ancient scrolls. These aren't just any scrolls. These are pieces of the Old Testament, older than any scholars had ever dreamed possible. We're talking centuries older, perhaps millennia, pushing back the timeline of written scripture in ways that challenge everything we thought we knew. One fragment, barely larger than your palm, reveals a portion of the book of Genesis, the very beginning of creation. But here, the words are slightly different. Instead of the familiar, "Let there be light," the text suggests a more nuanced translation, perhaps, "Let there be illumination," or even, "Let light emerge." Such a subtle difference, yet it opens a window into the evolving understanding of the sacred text, hinting at interpretations lost to time. It's a whisper from a distant age, but testament to how stories transform and adapt across generations. Another fragment, a delicate sliver of papyrus, contains verses from the Psalms, but the phrasing is strikingly different. Certain verses are extended, others condensed, offering alternate poetic renderings of praise and lament. Imagine the scribes, hunched over their work, carefully copying and recopying, perhaps adapting the words to suit the rhythms of their own time, their own understanding. We see the human hand at work here, not just a perfect, unchanging divine inscription. These variations weren't deliberate acts of defiance. They were natural expressions of faith, evolving within a living tradition. Further along, in a collection of clay tablets, we find passages from the book of Exodus. The story of Moses leading the Israelites from slavery is familiar, but this version adds details, minor events, seemingly insignificant, yet they paint a richer picture of the journey. We hear the whispers of anxieties, the murmurings of dissent, the quiet moments of doubt, along with the miracles and triumphs. These additions aren't errors, they're glimpses into the human experience embedded within the divine narrative. They remind us that faith is a journey, not a static destination. As we carefully examine these fragments, we begin to understand that the Bible, as we know it, is not a monolithic entity. It's a tapestry woven from many threads, each thread representing a different time, a different voice, a different understanding of God. These ancient fragments are not replacements for the scriptures we've inherited. They're additions, enriching our understanding of the texts we hold sacred. They allow us to see the evolution of belief, the process of interpretation, and the enduring power of the stories themselves, stretching across millennia, across cultures, across variations in language and understanding. The whispers of these ancient voices continue to resonate, reminding us that faith is a living, breathing thing, ever adapting, ever unfolding. And as we gently drift off to sleep, let these ancient whispers accompany you into the land of dreams. Now, as the embers of the day gently fade, let's turn our attention to stories whispered on the wind, tales that never quite made it into the official record. These are the Apocryphal texts, stories existing outside the familiar boundaries of the Bible, yet offering glimpses into the rich tapestry of ancient beliefs and lives. Imagine, if you will, a time long ago where the written word was precious, carefully copied and recopied by hand, each scribe adding a personal touch, a slight variation in a phrase, a subtle shift in meaning. These apocryphal works weren't necessarily deemed heretical or deliberately excluded. Sometimes it was simply a matter of canonization, a process of selection and acceptance that, through centuries of debate and evolving religious understanding, left some narratives on the periphery. Consider the Book of Enoch, for instance. Here we encounter a patriarch, Enoch, walking with God, witnessing celestial wonders, and receiving visions of the future. The narrative unfolds with a slow, deliberate pace, detailing Enoch's ascension into heaven, his encounters with angels, and profound pronouncements on the coming judgment. It's a story that speaks to the longing for a deeper connection with the divine, a desire to understand the mysteries of creation and the unfolding of time. Or perhaps you might find yourself drawn to the story of Judith, a courageous widow who, through cunning and faith, single-handedly saves her besieged city. It's a tale of resilience and unwavering devotion, a powerful reminder that even the smallest individual can make a significant impact on the course of history. The details unfold gently, allowing you to sink into the atmosphere of ancient Judea, feeling the weight of the siege, sensing the quiet bravery within Judith's heart. She's not just a biblical heroine, she's a symbol of the human spirit's ability to overcome seemingly insurmountable odds. Then there are the wisdom of Solomon and the wisdom of Sirach, both offering profound meditations on the nature of life, death, and the pursuit of wisdom. These texts delve into the intricacies of human experience, offering insightful observations on justice, virtue, and the ephemeral nature of earthly possessions. They're like ancient proverbs, guiding principles offered gently, encouraging contemplation as you drift off to sleep. These works aren't just historical documents, they're windows into the philosophical and spiritual landscape of the ancient world, inviting you to ponder the questions that have preoccupied humanity for millennia. And the Gospel of Thomas, a collection of sayings attributed to Jesus, adds a different perspective on his teachings, a slightly different accent on the familiar words. It offers a more mystical and spiritual approach, inviting a quieter contemplation of Jesus' message. There are no grand narratives, no sweeping battles, just carefully chosen words designed to guide the reader towards a deeper understanding of their own inner self. It's a gentle current carrying you into the stillness of the night. These apocryphal works, these stories gently nestled outside the official canon, are not meant to replace, but to enrich our understanding of the past. They're like whispers from across the ages, echoing through time, reminding us that history is never a single monolithic narrative, but a collection of voices, perspectives, and interpretations. As you drift off to sleep, let these ancient narratives surround you, whispering their secrets and guiding your dreams into peaceful slumber. Imagine yourself nestled comfortably, drifting towards sleep, as we journey back in time to explore the quiet lives of the Essenes. These were a Jewish sect living in the Judean desert centuries before the birth of Christ. Their world wasn't filled with grand palaces or bustling cities, but rather with simple dwellings nestled amongst the quiet hills and the whispering desert wind. Their writings, discovered centuries later, offer a glimpse into a community deeply committed to purity, ritual, and a life devoted to God. Picture the slow, rhythmic scratching of a reed pen on papyrus as an Essene scribe carefully records their community's rules. These weren't harsh laws, but gentle guidelines for a life lived in harmony with God and with each other. They emphasized purity, both physical and spiritual. Daily ablutions, careful attention to diet, avoiding certain foods deemed impure, were part of their everyday life, a constant reminder of their dedication. This wasn't about harsh asceticism, but about maintaining a clean vessel for the divine spirit within. Their communal meals, held in a spirit of shared piety, were more than just sustenance. They were acts of worship, moments of reflection, and opportunities to strengthen their bonds of brotherhood. Imagine the quiet clinking of simple pottery bowls, the soft murmur of prayers, the shared sense of peace in their simple meals. Food wasn't just about filling stomachs, it was a sacred act, a shared offering to God. The Dead Sea Scrolls, found hidden away in caves near Qumran, offer us some of the most fascinating insights into Essene beliefs. These ancient texts reveal their interpretations of Jewish scripture, their understanding of God's will, and their unique perspective on the world around them. They believed in a coming age of righteousness, a time when God's justice would prevail. This hope fueled their lives, their rituals, and their devotion to their community. Their day likely began with prayer, a quiet conversation with the divine, a moment of personal reflection before the demands of the day. They had a structured daily routine, a rhythm to their lives that emphasized both individual devotion and communal harmony. Imagine the sun rising over the desert, painting the sky in soft hues of orange and pink, as an Essene begins his day with prayer and meditation, seeking guidance and inspiration. Their writings reveal a deep concern for justice and compassion. They emphasize the importance of charity and helping those in need, viewing it not as an optional act, but as an essential part of their faith. They lived a simple life, sharing their resources and working together to maintain their community. This wasn't about accumulating wealth or power, but about living in a state of selfless service.
The scrolls also contain detailed instructions on their rituals and ceremonies. These weren't elaborate displays of power or wealth, but rather solemn acts of devotion, opportunities for communal prayer and reflection. Imagine the scent of incense, the soft chanting of prayers, the sense of shared spirituality as they participated in their ceremonies. These rituals weren't performed for show, but to deepen their connection with God and each other. As you drift off to sleep, remember the gentle rhythm of their lives, the quiet devotion that guided their actions, the sense of peace that permeated their community. The Essenes offer a glimpse into a world where simplicity and spirituality were intertwined, where daily life was a reflection of faith, and where community was the foundation of existence. Let their tranquil story lull you gently into slumber.
Now, as the firelight dances and the wind whispers secrets through the trees, let's gently drift into the daily lives of our ancestors. Imagine their village nestled in the heart of a valley, a place where the sun rises slowly and sets with a soft golden glow. Their days weren't filled with the hustle we know, but with a rhythm as steady and comforting as a heartbeat. The first rays of dawn would find them rising, not to the clang of an alarm, but to the gentle calls of birds. A shared breakfast, simple perhaps, but nourishing and eaten together, fostered a sense of community, a feeling of belonging that strengthened their bonds. Meals were a cornerstone of their society, not just sustenance, but a time for sharing stories, laughter, and concerns. Each person had a role, a contribution, ensuring the well-being of the whole. The older members, respected for their wisdom and experience, would often lead discussions, passing down knowledge and traditions across generations. Younger ones, full of energy and enthusiasm, would assist with daily tasks, learning by doing. Their rules of conduct were unwritten, yet deeply ingrained, passed down through generations like the warmth of a hearth fire. Respect for elders was paramount. Obedience wasn't blind submission, but a recognition of experience and guidance. Children learned early the value of cooperation, understanding that their actions affected the entire community. Sharing was not just an ideal, but a necessity, a practical aspect of survival, and a reflection of their interwoven lives. Individuality existed, of course, yet it was tempered by a deep-seated understanding of interdependence. Each person's skill, whether it was crafting tools, weaving cloth, or tending the land, was valued and essential to the community's success. There wasn't a rigid hierarchy, but a flexible structure where roles shifted depending on need. During harvest time, everyone worked together in the fields, sharing the bounty equally. In times of illness or hardship, the community rallied around those in need, providing support and care without question. This wasn't charity, but a natural expression of their shared humanity, a recognition of their shared fate. Disputes were settled not through violence, but through thoughtful discussion and mediation. The community valued harmony and peace above all else. Punishments, when necessary, focused on restoration and reintegration rather than retribution. The goal was not to ostracize, but to heal and to strengthen the community bonds. Even disagreements were seen as opportunities for growth and understanding, a chance to learn from differing perspectives. Their days unfolded at a slower pace, allowing for reflection, for appreciation of the natural world, and for the simple joys of human connection.
Evenings were filled with storytelling around the fire, the rhythmic sounds weaving tales of history, courage, and the interconnectedness of all things, helping them to lull them into peaceful slumber. Their lives, though seemingly simple by our standards, were rich in meaning, purpose, and a profound sense of belonging. And as you drift off to sleep, perhaps you'll feel a touch of that ancient rhythm, a sense of peace and belonging echoing in the quiet of your own heart.
Now, drift away with me as we gently explore a fascinating corner of history, the pseudepigrapha. Imagine a time long ago, after the events described in the Bible, but before the formal canon of the Christian scriptures was firmly established. People, deeply moved by the stories of figures like Moses, Solomon, and even Enoch, felt a yearning to hear more. They wanted to know what those figures might have thought, felt, or experienced beyond what was already written. This desire, this longing for connection to the past and its great figures, led to the creation of texts attributed to them. These weren't necessarily attempts at deception, not in the way we might understand it today. Instead, think of them as creative expressions of faith, ways of exploring religious ideas and beliefs through the lens of revered personalities. These writings, known as the pseudepigrapha, literally meaning writings under false names, offer a unique window into the hopes, fears, and spiritual aspirations of the people who created and cherished them. Picture a scribe, perhaps in a dimly lit room, the scent of parchment and ink filling the air. He carefully writes the words, not claiming authorship himself, but lending the authority and wisdom of a biblical figure to the message. He might be exploring ideas about the afterlife, perhaps describing visions of heaven or the torments of hell, reflecting the anxieties and hopes of his time. Or perhaps he's weaving a tale about the origins of the world, adding his own cultural understanding to the biblical creation story, filling in gaps and exploring philosophical questions. Each word, each carefully chosen sentence is a whisper from the past, echoing the longings and uncertainties of a community seeking meaning in their world. Let's consider the Book of Enoch, for example. Attributed to Enoch, a figure mentioned briefly in the Bible, this text expands dramatically on his life and experiences. It offers visions of heavenly realms, descriptions of angels and fallen angels, and details of a coming judgment. It speaks of astronomical phenomena, portraying the universe as a complex and awe-inspiring creation. These depictions, though not part of the officially accepted scriptures, reflect the spiritual curiosity and intense longing for understanding that characterized the time. It wasn't merely a matter of copying or fabricating, it was about engaging in a spiritual dialogue with the past, enriching and extending existing narratives. Then there are the various texts attributed to Solomon, the wise king. These frequently delve into the mysteries of magic and wisdom, exploring the relationship between the spiritual and the physical realms. They often incorporate folklore and magical practices alongside religious themes, suggesting a world where the lines between faith, magic, and everyday life were less sharply defined than they are today. Each story, each piece of wisdom, offers us a glimpse into a world grappling with profound questions about life, death, and the nature of reality. As you drift further into slumber, imagine yourself transported to those ancient times. Feel the weight of the parchment in your hands. Smell the faint aroma of the ink. These pseudepigrapha are not just historical documents. They're echoes of faith, whispers of hope, and testament to the enduring human need to find meaning and connect to the divine, even through the lens of stories passed down and reinterpreted across generations.
Let these echoes lull you into a peaceful, restful sleep.
Now, as the embers of the fire gently fade, let's drift into a consideration of those ancient scrolls, their whispering across the millennia. We've journeyed through their faded script, their cryptic symbols, their fragmented narratives, but understanding them? Ah, that is a journey in itself, a winding path through the mists of time. The very act of interpreting these texts is an adventure, fraught with challenges as plentiful as the stars in the night sky. Imagine you hold a single, brittle scroll, its edges crumbling like autumn leaves. The ink, once vibrant, is now faint, barely clinging to the parchment. Some words are clear, easily deciphered, painting vivid pictures of daily life, perhaps the bustling marketplace of a long-lost city, or the quiet rituals of a forgotten faith. But other passages defy easy explanation. Are those characters a word, a symbol, a stray mark made by a careless hand centuries ago? Different scholars, peering at the same scroll, will often arrive at different conclusions. One might emphasize the religious aspects, seeing divine pronouncements and prophecies in every line, drawing connections to established belief systems and weaving intricate theological interpretations. Another might focus on the historical context, comparing the scroll's descriptions of rulers and events to other archaeological discoveries, piecing together the fragmented puzzle of a forgotten kingdom. Yet another might concentrate on the linguistic aspects, painstakingly analyzing the grammar and vocabulary, attempting to reconstruct the dialect spoken by the scroll's authors, and understanding the subtle shifts in meaning across different eras. And this is where the real mystery begins, the captivating challenge of working with incomplete information. Often, we're faced with gaps in the text, portions lost to time or damage, leaving us to speculate, to fill in the blanks with educated guesswork, guided by the limited evidence we possess. A single missing word can alter the meaning of an entire sentence. A missing page can leave a story untold. A missing scroll can deprive us of a whole chapter in the history of a civilization. Think of it like trying to assemble a jigsaw puzzle with many pieces missing and some others damaged beyond repair. You might have a sense of the overall picture, but crucial details remain elusive. The image that emerges is a fragile construction, always subject to revision as new evidence appears or new interpretations are formulated. Furthermore, the very act of translation introduces its own set of challenges. Translating ancient languages isn't merely a matter of swapping words for their modern equivalents. It's a complex interplay of cultural nuances, historical context, and linguistic subtleties. What might seem like a straightforward translation can conceal layers of meaning lost in the translation process. And who's to say that our understanding of human emotions and motivations remains constant across thousands of years? Therefore, understanding ancient texts isn't about arriving at one definitive truth, but rather about embarking on a journey of exploration, a quest for understanding informed by careful scholarship, collaboration, and a willingness to acknowledge the inherent ambiguities of the past. The scrolls themselves are just the starting point. The true work of understanding lies in the careful interpretation, the painstaking reconstruction, and the respectful engagement with the voices that whisper from the distant past. Let those whispers now lull you to sleep and dream of the mysteries yet to be unveiled. Imagine, if you will, a world where knowledge is held not in sleek digital libraries, but in fragile scrolls of papyrus, parchment, and sometimes even silk. These ancient texts, whispering stories of empires risen and fallen, of gods and heroes, of everyday lives lived centuries ago, are incredibly precious. But their preservation is a constant, gentle battle against the relentless march of time. Think of the Dead Sea Scrolls, for instance. Their ink slowly fading, their material becoming brittle with age. They'd spent centuries hidden away in caves, protected from the worst of the elements, yet even that wasn't enough to completely shield them. The dry desert air, while initially protective, eventually led to dryness and cracking. The work of preserving these ancient treasures is painstaking, a slow dance between science and careful craftsmanship. First, imagine the careful unrolling, a process that sometimes takes years. Each tiny movement must be deliberate, each millimeter considered. Think of the experts, their fingers tracing the delicate edges, their breath held as they work. They use specialized tools, tiny brushes, carefully designed clamps, tools made for this precise task, born of generations of experience and innovation. Once unrolled, the scrolls themselves are often too fragile to handle directly. So they're carefully photographed, digitally scanned, ensuring the preservation of the text even if the physical scroll deteriorates. This digital record becomes a vital safety net. Think of the information being carefully copied, one carefully chosen pixel at a time, a modern digital archive creating a second life for the fragile originals. Then comes the process of stabilization. This might involve carefully cleaning the scroll, removing dust and debris, centuries of accumulated grime gently brushed away. Or it might involve strengthening the material itself, using specialized adhesives and techniques to gently reinforce the weakened papyrus or parchment. This is a delicate art, a balance between preservation and intervention, where too much can damage the scroll just as much as too little. Imagine the climate control required. Maintaining stable temperature and humidity levels is paramount. Too much moisture and the scrolls will begin to decay. Too little and they become brittle and prone to crumbling. Think of the carefully regulated chambers, constantly monitored and adjusted, creating an artificial microclimate to mimic the ideal environment for these ancient treasures. The challenges are immense. There's the constant threat of mold and mildew, insidious enemies that can silently consume a scroll over time. There are the inevitable effects of light exposure, causing fading and discoloration. And, of course, the ever-present danger of accidental damage. A small tear, a careless touch, can undo years of careful preservation. But the dedication continues. Scholars, conservators, and archivists, across generations and across the world, painstakingly labor to preserve these vital threads connecting us to the past. They work with a reverence for history, a quiet dedication to the legacy of those who came before them, ensuring that the stories whispered in these ancient scrolls will continue to resonate through the ages. And as you drift asleep, know that this quiet work of preservation continues, protecting the stories for those yet to come. Imagine, if you will, a quiet shepherd boy tending his flock in the Judean desert sometime around the year 1947. He stumbles upon a hidden cave, its mouth concealed amongst the rugged rocks. Inside, nestled amongst the shadows, are earthenware jars, and within those jars, scrolls. Ancient scrolls, fragile and brittle, yet somehow holding the whispers of a distant past. These were the Dead Sea Scrolls, and their discovery would ripple through the world of biblical scholarship, changing forever our understanding of ancient Judaism. Before their discovery, our knowledge of the biblical texts relied primarily on medieval manuscripts. These copies, while valuable, had been copied and recopied over centuries, accumulating variations and potential errors along the way. The Dead Sea Scrolls, however, offered a glimpse much closer to the original texts. Some of these scrolls were copies of biblical books we already knew, the books of Isaiah, Psalms, and others, but these versions were far older than anything previously available. They allowed scholars to directly compare these earlier versions with the ones we had, revealing the evolution of the biblical text itself. The subtle differences, the slight variations in wording, opened a window onto the textual history of the Bible in a way never before possible. It's like finding a lost piece of a vast ancient puzzle. Each fragment, each scroll, offered a new piece of that puzzle, slowly revealing the full picture. But the scrolls contained more than just biblical texts. They also included a wealth of non-biblical writings, offering unprecedented insights into the religious and social life of the Jewish community at Qumran, the settlement believed to be associated with the scrolls. These documents illuminated the beliefs and practices of the Essenes, a Jewish sect known for their strict adherence to religious laws and their communal way of life. We read of their daily routines, their interpretations of Scripture, their hopes and anxieties, painted in simple, unadorned script. Their detailed rules, their communal meals, their focus on purity and ritual observance all came alive through these ancient pages. These extra-biblical scrolls, the commentaries and the rules, helped scholars understand the diversity of thought within ancient Judaism. It wasn't a monolithic entity, unchanging and uniform. Rather, a rich tapestry of beliefs and practices, diverse interpretations of Scripture, and vibrant internal debates. The scrolls revealed a world of meticulous scribes carefully copying sacred texts, alongside thinkers grappling with profound theological questions. We see evidence of their spiritual struggles, their hopes for a better future, their anxieties about the world around them. The Dead Sea Scrolls offered a profoundly human perspective on faith. These weren't just abstract theological concepts, they were the lived experiences of real people, grappling with the same complexities of faith and doubt that resonate with us today. They remind us that even within a seemingly strict religious framework, there was room for debate, for questioning, for the evolving understanding of faith. And that perhaps the journey of faith itself is the most important story they tell. So breathe deeply now. Let the image of those ancient scrolls fade gently into the quiet of your mind, and let the story they tell, in its slow unfolding, lull you into a peaceful sleep. Now, as the embers of our historical journey gently fade, we come to a place where the known gives way to the unknown. Some secrets still lie hidden, leaving room for speculation and future discoveries. Think of the whispered legends of lost cities, swallowed by jungles or buried beneath the shifting sands of time. El Dorado, the city of gold, forever shimmering on the horizon of possibility. Its location a tantalizing mystery that has lured adventurers for centuries. Was it a myth, a fanciful tale spun to inspire hope and dreams? Or did a glittering metropolis, rich in treasure and culture, truly exist, only to vanish without a trace? The answer remains elusive, a whisper in the wind. And what of the Voynich manuscript? its pages filled with an indecipherable script and strange illustrations. For hundreds of years, scholars have painstakingly pored over its enigmatic symbols, yet its meaning continues to elude them. Is it an elaborate hoax, a complex code, or a glimpse into a lost language, a forgotten world? The mystery persists, a quiet enigma tucked away in the archives of history. Consider the fate of the Roanoke colonists. A settlement established on a wind-swept island, they vanished without a trace, leaving behind only the word Croatoan carved into a post. Did they assimilate into native tribes, succumbing to disease, or meeting a more violent end? The silence of history hangs heavy, a haunting, unanswered question that echoes across the centuries. Then there are the countless artifacts unearthed, their purposes and origins shrouded in shadow. Ancient tools and technologies that seem far beyond the capabilities of the civilizations who supposedly created them. The Antikythera mechanism, a complex astronomical calculator dating back to ancient Greece, stands as a testament to the ingenuity of a lost age. Yet its full capabilities and the extent of their knowledge remain largely unclear. It's a whisper from a time that we barely understand, a testament to a lost sophistication. Even closer to our own time, certain events cast long shadows of doubt and uncertainty. Disappearances that defy easy explanation, unsolved crimes that linger in the annals of police records, baffling mysteries that still prickle at the edges of our understanding. These are the threads that weave themselves into the fabric of the unknown, subtle hints that some stories remain untold. And it's not just grand mysteries that invite speculation. Think about the countless everyday moments, the tiny details that slip away, lost to the passage of time. A forgotten conversation, a half-remembered dream, the fleeting expression on a loved one's face. These too are fragments of the unknown, pieces of a jigsaw puzzle that may never be fully complete. Yet, in their very incompleteness, they retain a certain charm, a whisper of the infinite possibilities that lie just beyond the reach of our understanding. Let these unanswered questions rest gently in your mind as you drift into a peaceful sleep, dreaming of the mysteries yet to be uncovered. Let the quiet hum of the unknown lull you into slumber. Sleep well. And so we arrive at the quiet conclusion of our journey to Qumran, a place etched into history not by conquest or grand pronouncements, but by the whispers of parchment and ink. The Dead Sea Scrolls, those fragile fragments of ancient texts, have long since ceased their silent vigil in the caves. They've been carefully catalogued, meticulously studied, and their secrets, once hidden from the world, now slowly unfold, a story whispered across millennia. Imagine, if you will, the scholars who first handled these scrolls, their fingers tracing the faded script, their minds grappling with the implications of what they held. They weren't simply reading ancient words, they were peering into the heart of early Judaism, witnessing the evolution of religious thought and practice. The scrolls offered glimpses into the lives of the Essenes, a community who chose a life of piety and seclusion in the desert, a community whose beliefs and practices influenced, in subtle and sometimes profound ways, the development of early Christianity. The impact of these discoveries has rippled far beyond the walls of academic institutions. The scrolls have provided invaluable insight into the Hebrew Bible itself, offering variations of familiar texts, illuminating discrepancies, and adding layers of understanding to stories we've known for centuries. Scholars now possess a broader view, a deeper context when examining the familiar verses of the Old Testament. The variations and the additional texts deepen our appreciation for the rich tapestry of religious interpretation that existed even in those early times. Imagine the debates, the discussions, the passionate arguments that must have echoed across the desert and beyond as these interpretations evolved. Consider, too, the historical context revealed by the scrolls. They paint a vivid picture of life in Judea during a turbulent period, the years leading up to the destruction of the Second Temple. We see the political climate, the social anxieties, the religious fervor of a people caught between empires and their own internal conflicts. The scrolls provide a unique window into this tumultuous era, offering a personal perspective that complements the grand narratives of history books. They speak of everyday concerns and extraordinary faith, weaving a compelling story of a people struggling to preserve their identity and their beliefs. The study of the Dead Sea Scrolls continues to this day. New insights emerge regularly as scholars employ new technologies to analyze the fragile fragments. Experts from across the globe, from diverse backgrounds and with varied expertise, dedicate themselves to understanding these texts and revealing their secrets. Their work is not just about deciphering ancient script. It's about understanding the human condition itself, the enduring quest for meaning, the struggle for faith, and the impact of belief on the lives of individuals and entire communities. The legacy of Qumran is not a fixed monument, but rather a dynamic conversation, an ongoing dialogue between the past and the present, between history and interpretation. And as we drift off to sleep, perhaps we can carry with us the quiet hum of that conversation, a whisper from the scrolls, a gentle reminder of the enduring power of faith and the captivating mystery of history. Imagine, if you will, a world without stories, a world where the echoes of past civilizations faded completely, leaving only the faintest whispers on the wind. That's the chilling reality we would face without the preservation and study of ancient texts. These scrolls, tablets, and codices, often fragile and worn with age, are not just collections of words. They are vessels carrying the breath of generations past. They hold the keys to understanding who we are, where we came from, and perhaps where we are going. Think of the Dead Sea Scrolls, carefully hidden away for centuries, their parchment whispering secrets of a long-lost community. Their careful preservation allowed us to glimpse the religious practices and daily lives of the Essenes, offering a unique perspective on the cultural landscape of the time. By studying their carefully copied texts, we learn not just about their beliefs, but also about the meticulous scribes who painstakingly copied them, passing down knowledge across generations with unwavering dedication. Each tiny imperfection, each faded stroke of ink tells a story of its own, a testament to human perseverance and the enduring power of the written word. Consider the Rosetta Stone, a seemingly ordinary slab of dark basalt, its surface etched with the same decree in 3 different scripts: hieroglyphic, Demotic, and Greek. This unassuming stone became a linchpin in unlocking the mysteries of ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs, a language once believed lost forever. Through painstaking comparison and decipherment, scholars unlocked a window into a civilization that flourished thousands of years ago, revealing their complex beliefs, sophisticated governance, and remarkable artistic achievements. It's a beautiful illustration of how a single artifact can unlock a whole world of knowledge. And what of the countless clay tablets from Mesopotamia, each one a tiny fragment of a larger tapestry? These tablets, etched with cuneiform script, offer glimpses into the earliest forms of writing, revealing not only epic poems and legal codes, but also the mundane details of daily life, business transactions, personal letters, even recipes. These fragments, painstakingly pieced together by dedicated scholars, paint a vibrant picture of a society that, despite its distance in time, shares surprising similarities with our own. The study of ancient texts isn't simply about reading old words, it's about understanding the human experience in its full complexity. It's about recognizing the patterns of history, understanding the mistakes made and the lessons learned, and appreciating the enduring spirit of human creativity and innovation. These scrolls, painstakingly preserved, offer a continuous conversation across millennia, a dialogue between past and present. By engaging with these stories, we deepen our own understanding of the world and our place within it. We connect with the shared human experience, weaving ourselves into the rich and intricate tapestry of history. And as we drift off to sleep, let these whispers from the past, these echoes of ancient voices, soothe your mind and guide your dreams. Let their wisdom linger softly in your thoughts. The sun dips low, casting long shadows across the still waters of the Dead Sea. Its surface, impossibly calm, reflects the fiery hues of the setting sun, a breathtaking, final spectacle before the night settles in. We leave its shores now, the salty air clinging to our skin, a reminder of the journey we've just completed. Think of the weight of history, the layers of time pressed down into this very land. We've walked where kings and queens once trod, where prophets preached, and where ordinary people lived out their ordinary lives. Imagine, if you will, the echoes that linger here. The murmur of conversations in ancient Aramaic, the rhythmic chanting of prayers, the creak of ancient wooden chariots rolling across the desert sands. These sounds, though faded, are still present, whispering on the breeze that carries the scent of salt and distant wildflowers. We've felt the presence of the past, not as a distant memory, but as a tangible thing, woven into the very fabric of this place. The Dead Sea itself, so still and reflective, mirrors this sense of quiet contemplation. It holds within its depths untold stories, swallowed by its hypersaline embrace. We've learned about its unique properties, its healing waters, its almost otherworldly landscape. It's a place that challenges our understanding of the world, a place where nature reveals its power in both its beauty and its starkness. As we walk away, we carry with us the weight of this ancient knowledge, not as a burden, but as a precious gift. We've seen the evidence of civilizations risen and fallen, empires built and crumbled. We've traced the steps of those who came before us, learning from their successes and failures, their triumphs and their tragedies. The lessons of the past are not meant to be forgotten. They are meant to be carried forward, illuminating our path as we move towards the future. The wisdom whispered by the desert winds, the stories etched into the ancient stones, the silent contemplation afforded by the stillness of the Dead Sea, these are the treasures we take with us. The journey's end isn't a conclusion, but a transition. It's a point of reflection where we can look back at the path we've traveled and appreciate the lessons learned. It is a time to gather our thoughts, to allow the quiet of the evening to settle over us, to let the day's experiences gently weave themselves into the tapestry of our memories. Tonight, as you drift toward sleep, let the image of the setting sun over the Dead Sea fill your mind. Let the calm of the water soothe your anxieties. Let the whispers of ancient wisdom guide your dreams. Let the lessons learned today rest peacefully within you until we meet again on another journey of discovery. Sleep now and rest well. The world awaits us tomorrow. The sun dips below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of apricot and rose. Imagine yourself, if you will, on the shores of the Dead Sea. The air is warm, carrying the faintest scent of salt and minerals. The water itself, impossibly dense, shimmers under the fading light. It's a stillness unlike any other you've experienced, a profound quiet that settles over the landscape. You feel the soft sand between your toes, warm from the day's sun. A gentle breeze whispers through the nearby date palms, their leaves rustling like hushed secrets. The air is heavy with the silence of the desert, broken only by the occasional cry of a distant bird. The stars begin to appear, tiny pinpricks of light in the deepening twilight. As you gaze across the impossibly still water, you feel a sense of profound peace wash over you. The Dead Sea, so named for its lack of life, holds a different kind of life within its depths, a quiet, contemplative energy. The surface is undisturbed, a perfect mirror reflecting the vast expanse of the night sky. You might close your eyes now and let the image of this serene landscape settle into your mind. Feel the warmth of the sand still clinging to your skin, the gentle caress of the desert breeze on your face. The air is thick with the scent of the earth, earthy and comforting. Let the rhythmic lapping of the water against the shore lull you into a deeper state of relaxation. Each gentle wave is a soothing whisper, carrying away any anxieties or worries that may linger. It's a lullaby from the ancient earth, a timeless song of peace and tranquility. Picture the stars above, twinkling like distant embers in the vast, inky blackness. They've been witnesses to countless nights, to countless stories unfolding under their silent gaze. They've seen empires rise and fall, civilizations flourish and fade, but they remain, steadfast and unchanging. Their constant presence is a reassurance, a reminder of the enduring nature of things. Let their light bathe you in a gentle warmth, softening the edges of your thoughts, smoothing out the creases in your mind. The quiet hum of the desert night wraps around you, a protective blanket of stillness. You breathe deeply, inhaling the calm and exhaling any tension you may be holding on to. Your body feels heavy, relaxed, sinking into the sand, or perhaps into your bed. It hardly matters now. The Dead Sea's stillness permeates everything, a tranquil balm that eases your mind and soothes your soul. With each slow, measured breath, you drift further and further into a state of peaceful slumber. Let the sounds of the desert fade into a gentle hum, a quiet melody that guides you gently into the arms of sleep. The stars continue to watch, silent guardians of your rest. And as the night deepens, so too does your sleep, peaceful and restorative, a gift from the tranquil shores of the Dead Sea. Sleep well and dream sweet dreams.